Hi, everyone. My name is Corey Stigerhead Pace, and I am a cloud advocate here at Microsoft. I'm really happy to be delivering this lesson for you entitled The Introduction to Azure AI Studio. If we think the generative AI with JavaScript is a journey or a trip into the world of building with generative AI applications, I think the Azure AI Studio is a bit like the airport for that journey. It allows us to go to the places that we really want to go to, but without all of those things that make airports not fun, like long lines and delays. So let's really get into this. As an agenda for today's lesson, we're going to look at first how we sort of organize things within the Azure AI Studio. This is called hubs and projects. Then we're going to explore the model catalog. This is where we keep all of the large language and small language models available in the Azure AI Studio and give you relevant information how to work with them. Then we're actually going to deploy a model, test that model in the playground, and then lastly, tour some of the other tools within the Azure AI Studio that might be relevant to you as you start building. So I'll start by saying that we continue to improve the Azure AI Studio. So if you're looking at the AI Studio now, it might be looking at slightly different than what you might see on your screen now. But never fear, don't worry. Many of the main concepts are going to be the same. So maybe the UI might have been adjusted a little bit. So first thing we'll do when we enter the Azure AI Studios, you might be seeing either recent projects, or if this is your first time setting it up, maybe also trying to set up a hub. To continue this analogy of airports, I would like to say that if you think about a hub being at the airport, which is where we can kind of share resources. So in airports, we have runways, gates, things like that. And a project is a plane, right? So they use some of the resources in there, but they also have their own kind of intent or purpose to be working with. So the first thing we'll do is actually start a new project by doing this, clicking on this new project button here. You will see first a project name that's sort of just given as assignment. You can change it to anything else that you like. Let's just call this one JS Gen AI. And then a hub. Like I said, this is going to be where you're sharing all the resources, even if you're working with other team members. You can have one hub to sort of rule them all while having different projects that you're working on specifically. If you ever get confused by this, we always have these tooltips to give you a better explanation. So in this case, right, a hub is providing a hosting environment. And if I wanted to, I can also create a new hub right here on this page. I'm going to go ahead and create a project here. And what this process is actually going to do is going to start launching the different various services that I will need to actually use in terms of building with this application. I promise you no wait times, or at least no long wait times like airports. So I'm actually going to cancel this because I already have a project running. So this is my project here. Actually, I can go ahead and click on that. And I can also see certain things in terms of the hub that I'm working with, the resource group that's attached to this, as well as in terms of what subscriptions that are attached to that particular hub. So this is where I'll get all that type of information in terms of how this actually connects to the larger Azure resources that I'm using. But the first thing we're going to do when we're building with any sort of generative AI applications is we need a model, right? So if I go to this getting started, the model catalog, this is where you're going to find out all of the models that are available within the Azure AI Studio. And we have a lot of them. We have right now, at the time of recording, 1,757 models. I bet you that if you're looking at this tomorrow, that we might have 1,557 or 8 of these models. We continue to add models that we get feedback on that need support, as well as the industry as a whole are continuing to innovate and drive new models, as well as even specialized models there. So you might be asking then, how can I find the model that I want out of all of these? The first thing I like to do is using these filters here in the middle of the screen. So we can divide these things into certain collections. So these are primarily the model providers, whether it's the Azure OpenAI, so connected to the Azure OpenAI service, Microsoft, which is coming in from our research models, or even our small language models like 5.3 and 5.3.5, the Meta models, so this is the Llama family, and also the Mistral models. So just even by clicking on this, you can find specific models based on their providers or their collections. We also have different deployment options within the Azure AI Studio. You can get information on exactly how these are different in terms of managed compute and the serverless API. One is sort of on a pay-as-you-go billing, while the other is also attached into having a hosted reference. So this is the managed compute option. So knowing these differences is kind of important, especially when you're choosing the models that you want. I think the probably the most important one in terms of finding exactly what you're building based on that is the inference task. So a lot of these models can do many different things in terms of providing it information, answers, responses, things like that. But there's also models that are quite specialized in certain inference tasks or things that we want to do in the application. So we can go in and look at things like chat completion. So this will drive your sort of chat-based type of applications. Or we can even do things like text generation in terms of just generating some sort of text. And even more specific cases like embeddings, for example, where you're using things like the RAG frameworks, which will be where you want to find those models to generate embeddings on your data, as you can see here. We won't go too much into detail here about fine tuning, but that's also an option. This is again training a model into doing specific tasks based on a large amount of data sets that you would provide. But in this case, let's just go ahead and go to the Azure OpenAI collections, and we'll do all of these. And let's go ahead and deploy a GPT-4o model. So what you see in this model catalog as well is a description of the model. This is going to be important if you've never heard of that model or you want to get an understanding of exactly what the model does. We'll also give information about version numbers, so models continue to be updating, and even some additional features. For example, in this model has JSON mode, so I can request or make a parameter that the responses are always going to be in JSON, which is really important if I want to use that later on in my application, as well as function calling. So I can take the response of the large language model and actually make a call within the function of my application, or maybe an API call. So we will go ahead and deploy this model. I already have one deployed, so it's going to give me this nice little 2 prefix. And you'll see the version number, the deployment type, which I'll talk about later on, was the project that's attached, as well as the resource location, which is going to be important in terms of where you deploy this. And anytime I can go ahead and customize these sorts of things. For the deployment type, we recommend using global standard for development. So I'm going to leave that, and as well as the model version as the default. But if I wanted a later or earlier model, I can actually do that as well, which could be important when we're talking about compatibility of the tools that you're using. All these models also come with a built-in content filter. So we have these default filters within them. We'll talk about that later on in terms of what it actually means. But you can go into this tooltip here and find out exactly what is being filtered out and at what level. So I'll go ahead and deploy this model. And once the model is deployed, it's really time to see it working, see how it functions. And you can go in and maybe start making API calls. You have the endpoint here as well as your key. But what I like to do is actually start opening this in the playground, which is also within Azure AI Studio. So if I go ahead and click on that, this is actually going to bring me into the chat playground. And based on the actual model itself, you'll be able to use different playgrounds here. But in this case, I'm going to just use the chat because I will be able to then kind of test out how this model is functioning based in a chat context. Whether or not my application is a chat application doesn't really matter, but this is a great way to just get started. In this chat playground, you'll see a couple of things. One, I can determine what the system message is. This is essentially sort of the rules within the application, as well as start chatting here. What I would like to do is, since this is a multimodal model, I'm going to use some of the vision elements of this model by going ahead and attaching an image from this so that I can see exactly what that image is and maybe it explains to me. So what is this and how does it work? So now we have some JavaScript code to be on theme, and it's going to not only understand what's in the image, but actually going to explain the code to me, which is really great for anyone learning JavaScript, and maybe they have a screenshot, for example. But this proves that the model is working. I can go in and view the code in terms of making any samples. Right now we have the JSON examples and curl examples that could be relevant, as well as even doing any type of evaluation later on, both in the manual and automated way. So that was getting the model deployed, choosing it from the catalog, and testing it out. We have a lot of other tools within this Azure AI Studio in terms of prompt flow, so managing your tooling as well as the flow of how it's working, interacting with the model, and an evaluation, as well as fine tuning. But these are all topics that will come up later in this course. So good luck and keep building.